Welcome to the writings of Patrick S. Smith.
Hello, all. Just the quick updates on things that are going on. Kathy's not joining me for this video because she's working nights, and as I've said before, real hard to get her on camera with me or even separately because she's working or sleeping. That's the downfall of working nights. But she has her next book or author she wants to talk about already lined up. I believe it's St. Abbey and the Mind series. So be interesting to see what comes of that. And I'm also, since she's such a voracious reader, trying to see if she wants to start doing beta readings for other authors and do reviews, since that seems to be that could be something up her alley. We'll see. The big news this week is that My Friend Death got published on Monday in Bewildering Stories, and I'll put the link in the descriptions. But that's the third story this year for me to get published. Woohoo! So yeah, really excited about that. So hopefully I can get the fourth out. Possibly, though I highly doubt it, a fifth. We will see how things go. Speaking of stories being published, I am still waiting on confirmation about the Stafford building. I'm going to be reaching out to the prospective publisher or magazine on that and see what the actual status is. Because they were a little vague, I thought, that they wanted to do it, but not a definite, yeah, we'll do it. There's been no other paperwork. So I'm going to reach out to them here and find out, what the real deal is. Hopefully that one will come out for October, but I don't know at this point. And while I'm on the subject of querying, I got another rejection for my Time Among the Elves. This one's a little bit better than the generic, sorry, not a fit for our magazine or not interested. It is one of these, it felt like they were saying it was interesting, but it won't sell, which, for me, it's getting it done, getting it out there, and it will. I never expected it to be the big seller, so and that's the thing. Agents are always looking for the next big thing, and so I get that, and you got to take it with a grain of salt and just be comfortable with it. Now, Amber, I did in the last couple of weeks. I want to say I've probably put about 1,000 words into, so I've made some progress on it. Half of that was basically in a day, so I thought I was getting on track, but no, just a temporary boost. But a part of that is that I sit down, go to work on it, or anytime I go to sit down and work on it, I go back and I reread the scene I'm working on, and that's to get the feel of what the actual scene is and what I was going for in it, not because there's just so much in that you can put in the storyboarding before you actually start writing the scene. It's so go ahead. So it's been some slow progress because go back and tweak things because I don't like how they were doing, which takes away from time writing and being creative and adding to the story. So it is what it is. I also went back to naming the series and did the first round of edits. Got all that done in like 2 days, which was amazing. The rough spots actually were not as rough as they sounded, or they were a lot easier to fix than they sounded they would be. So that was a big boost. So that's in the can, and I need to go back and do another reading of it, and before I even start doing the nitty-gritty grammar editing and all that where I go get the editing software out and see what it comes up with as far as problems go. Want to get the nuts and the bolts of the story now first. That's just the way I do things. and then go back and smooth out the rough edges. So it is a process. It's not something that I can get done quickly. It's just, it's procedural, and every author goes through it, and they all have their own way of doing it. So there's that. And I also looked at the fourth Death series, and the working title is A Gift from Death, and had to do a lot of tweaks to that to get any progress made. And I think I only put like 50 words. It wasn't much, but it was a slight tone change and some things. And now I do what I call wrote myself into a corner. It's like you start one way, and now how do you get out of that smoothly? How do you transition to the next part of the story smoothly? So trying to lay that path out and make that bridge so I can at least get the first draft done on that. Because the Death series has now has 2 actual published stories in e-zines, and I've got at least 2 more in the works. 3 more in the works at various stages. I've decided on the blog I'm going to break it out, and it's going to have its own little subsection like the World of Olith, which that's going to entail restructuring the blog a little bit to accommodate this, but I think Serdic and Bertha will be happy with their new home. Give them a little privacy. I also have finally completed going through and reviewing the first take of To Draw Your Soul You Must Give Your Soul. I have 3 takes on that I need to go in and do this whole process of splitting it, listening to it, finding what might be usable versus what's definitely not usable, and parse that, and then do that 3 times, once for each take, and then see possibly if I can piece that together to make a complete story. If not, then it's either, depending on how much I need to do and how much my voice has changed in the time to do those takes, I may have to go and do a 4th take, or the 4th take might be full, but it might be partial. It's just depends on what it is. And anybody who does audio recordings will tell you, yeah, your voice does change session to sessions. Sometimes slightly, sometimes a lot more dramatic, and sometimes you hear it and sometimes you don't. So there's that. And then on the new project, like I needed it, the Old Rose Cafe, I have 2 of the characters fleshed out enough to where I could start writing with them. I have Celine, who's a 20-year-old part-time waitress there at the Old Rose. The chipper, bubbly personality that you just want to hate, but they're so cute with it, you just can't help yourself but like them. Yeah. That, and the counterpoint is the assistant manager, Frank Gorin, who is a bit more gruff, but he's also, the trope of, the bartender. He's an ear. He'll listen to anybody. He'll laugh at anybody's jokes, that sort of thing, and the confidant and all that. So that's the 2 I've got going. I do have the first story, or I shouldn't say the first story. I have a story already storyboarded out. I want to go back and look at it before I actually start writing with it and run it by my wife just to see what Kathy thinks of it. So there's that. And finally, at the time of this recording, this past week was 9/11, a date for me which is a high and a low. The high because that's when I adopted my oldest daughter, so it's, the running joke is, the happy birthday to her, and she'll sit there and tell me, happy adoption day. So it's kind of interesting that you adopt a 20-something-year-old adult as your child, but she, when I married Kathy, my oldest daughter was already 10, so, and was, as I joke, it was a package deal, couldn't get one without the other, so, and I have tried to step up as best I can on that. But obviously for most Americans, we remember what happened on that day, and it's affected us. That's why some of my poetry reflects around it. Heroes and the day I became a New Yorker, in part because in the aftermath of that, we saw the best of us. And in this day and age, I think we all need to go back and look at that evening of 9/11, look at September 12th, and see us for the best that we were. So that's it for this time around. Like I said, Kathy's hopefully going to be joining me in the next one, in some way, shape, or form. So we'll see you then. Everyone, take care.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. You can find more of my books on Amazon.com. Also, you can find more of my stories and poems at patricssmithauthor.wordpress.com. The links are in the description. Thank you.